welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and critically fumble a lot. The world does not seem to want me to have 9 people in this chat room because, once again, we are without somebody. Poor Brian is not feeling particularly well, so we hope he gets well soon. But at the very least, we have a sensible reason that he might not want to be surrounded by Hearthhome individuals, given some of the things that he found out while y'all were in DeMille. Previously, speaking of, the Cupcake Coterie went through the Aeonbach frozen wastes to DeMille to seek out answers of sorts at the Silver Vault. Once they finally arrived in DeMille and got went to basically cash in their unlocks, they met Rylan, an individual whose pronouns, according to Vorid, are nervous, who informed them that shit was getting really, really horrible in the Elven Wild, which, they'd kind of left without really being able to do anything about the carnage they saw when they were walking through the courtyard. Oopsie. So, yeah, that happened. They dug what information they could out of the Silver Vault. Unfortunately, because the place is so extensive, some individuals maybe didn't pick the best subjects, or just had too wide a field of inquiry, or basically had to keep a Rylan company or something along those lines. But some information was pulled out of that Aled's Guide to Everything, frankly. We have we have the coordinates, if you like, for a few teleportation circles in and around Baronsphere. Most of them are not necessarily safe for use, but at the same time, if one of them might be able to get your little group directly into Blackcrown while all the guards are distracted by the big honkin' army. But first you have to free up the big honkin' army, which is why immediately after that, and Rylan finding out how bad shit in the Elven Wild could get because of a shared report from Remy and Barnabas, they decided to head for Goldendale via Hazel's home key to figure out effectively, well, not even figure out, because they know what they're going to do. They have dragons to see about. They need to assess the situation on the ground at Hearthhome, and to make sure that there's actually going to be a planting season worth the name, they need to deal with Varidel, the ancient white dragon sitting on top of Grey's Inn. But obviously, first there's other bits and pieces that they have to do. Check in on the family, and hugs and reassurance, and introduce Rylan to new adoptive family. Here you go.
Introduce Rylan to the swarm.
Something along those lines. But when we ended last session, they were just walking through into the Hearthhome dooryard. And because of relative positioning, and the fact that y'all started out fairly early, it's yet earlier than it was when you left. Time zones be like that. So it's dark and fairly quiet. There's still some noise, quiet sorts of first thing in the morning noises from the there seem, actually, I think it'd probably be only Alice, Clarity, Hazel, and Rylan, who I'll have to describe more of this for in a minute, but first thing that would be noticed by those of you with dark vision is that the groups of mercenaries, well, first of all, for Rylan, there's mercenaries camped out in that field. For Clarity and Hazel, there were fewer of them, which suggests that some of them have moved on someplace. Or worse, but we're kind of hoping not for worse. But for Rylan, what you have is you've come out of a barn somehow. You walked into a big door that should have been into the palace, and you walked out of a barn into a dooryard, which, as you're looking around, what you see are what you take for hills for a minute. This little snow-covered hills, but no, they're little round doors and little round windows with window boxes.
Everything here a door?
No, but the thing is, you notice those hills are houses.
Oh.
And
Not a door. Actual place.
yeah, and further on there seems to be some kind of other outbuilding, and off to your immediate left, there's fields, winter fallow fields that have mercenaries in tents. You only know mercenaries because a couple of them are doing a perimeter watch, and sort of look in your general direction, a bit taken aback by the gigantic moose. And the individual with the faintly glowing wings, and it is just like, yeah, okay, it's those weirdos. Well, ask me. And Barnabas just goes, I'm gonna go and explain some things to them, not least of which some of what Remy and I learned about. I reckon they need to know. Also, tell you the truth, I'm not really feeling up for family just yet. And off he trumps, and as he trumps off from barn roof, you're getting, oh, that is a much bigger moose than I'm used to. Shannira. Rylan? Drow. But this is the first one that hasn't been actively shooting at you. In fact, looks nervous but friendly.
And I'm fully flail waving in her direction.
There's Darwin. Hey.
Okay, is it law that you must have a wood elf in your party?
No.
Okay, I just wondered because you had one and now you have another one. And hi.
In
Just
their
happened, I
defense,
guess.
this time I was actually looking for them, so this is my fault, I think, technically.
Well, technically it could be Istis. We don't know. Istis seems to take
fair.
great delight in tweaking their lives. Also, you now have wings all the time, and that is a very big moose. I am not going to get any explanation for any of this, am I?
It's gonna take us a bit to find the proper words, probably. Though the moose is Alice's, and the wings thing was a wedding gift for Remy.
Yep. We should maybe gather everyone, so we only have to tell all these stories once.
But you see, that would involve me being in where there's light and people.
Yeah.
True. We can tell the story twice then, in that case.
I don't necessarily need a story. I don't want to put any of you out, although none of you seem particularly cold, so this is, I feel a little bit better. But I'll assume magic and you meet the most interesting people, and go back to the perimeter watching. I think the mercenaries have got slightly used to me when they can see me at all, which is still kind of rare, but sometimes I let them just to make sure that they know they're doing a good job.
Good.
That's
that
very
is
good.
sweet as hell.
I'm trying to people. It's
You're getting better at it.
it's a little
Good.
difficult.
Quite wonderful.
Over towards one of the little hills, you hear a very faint scrape of window and a very faint. Faraday, do we have to have the window open? It's too warm. Ah! And then thump. Pat, 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 pat.
Oh no.
Brace yourself.
This was out the window. The thing is it's still quite dark, so you're mostly just hearing this. So it's Clarity, Hazel, and Rylan who see very small dragonborn girl, probably. It's just sort of pat, 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 yeet in Frosa's general direction. Boom.
Incoming.
Say that.
At which point you then hear more
Pitter-patters.
girlish squealing, and this time half elf. You're not seeing colors at this point, so it really is just half elf, nightshirt, no shoes, pigtails, doesn't care. Again, yeet in Versa's general direction.
And lo, he has been
Down and hugs.
Yeah, it's like, you've been gone for ages, but okay. The looks and they start with Rylan and just, hi, you're new. You have why is there a? You're gonna want to
Long
tell all this
story.
inside, right?
Yes.
Long story, we will get to
inside.
At which point, Darvin hears again from the roof, hugs from above. Gnome
very
lands in, and this is a toddler gnome. It's hugs Darvin for a while. It sort of settles to sit on his shoulder, and it just points at Legolas. Moose.
mega moose.
Not just moose, but moose. It was yeah, Legolas sort of leans, and the entire snoot is basically Evan's size.
I just moved my Darwin.
Yeah, in the background, Alice is gesturing what Remy recognizes as he's okay, he's friendly, he is pet person. His tiny little gnome hand. And then Legolas just boom, snoot as much as possible into tiny hand.
Got Evan praise. Just,
Friendly moose.
yes.
Kiddos, this is Legolas. Legolas is Alice's.
Yeah, pretty much. And Skylar is just like, of course you have a giant moose. If anybody was gonna have a giant moose, it was gonna be you.
Alice is sort of the amalgam of just a lot of very seemingly disparate things.
Faraday is just, I haven't
Can you
seen
bring
one
them
of those in what I guess is a very long time. It doesn't feel that way, but it is. We used to have some of those. Only for when we needed, like, goods and things transported. Not very many. We couldn't have spared one to send to Wise. Excuse me, Mr. Moose, why are you here? Looking at it like, what? Alice just gestures. She's talking to you like your people. Take the respect, okay? He is here at least partially because your sister seems to think I needed him. And so did you guys.
Yep.
This is where it probably occurs to Darvin. Yeah, you need him.
Yeah, we do actually. Now that you mention transporting things, we do need to get to Gray's Inn, but there's no merchants going that way, so Legolas could take us. And I mean, we won't have to replace a horse if one gets eaten. And if an ice strike tries to go up against Legolas, I'm betting on Legolas.
But Legolas just kind of raises his head like, damn straight kind of expression.
Yeah.
Warm! And from Evan, Warmoose!
Kind of.
And
Pretty
now
much.
it started.
At which
Wait,
point,
now it starts?
Evan leaps down from Darwin's shoulder. He clearly doesn't care, just into the snow, roll, and flees for the house, going, Twilly Mom, Miranda Mama, we got a Warmoose!
3, 2, 1.
Why are you
Kids.
You'll see.
So many kids. Yes, as soon as she hits one, door opens, light goes on in the kitchen, more kids. On top of the half elf girl and the dragonborn girl, you have seemingly joined at the hip gnome girl, dwarf boy, probably about the same age, but the gnome girl is smaller by a fair bit. Another couple of half elves, one a girl, very dark skin, very dark hair, and kind of puffy fun buns. One boy, a bit older, unfeasibly attractive, even at like 13. Half orc girl who, Ava, I'm going to need you to make me a strength save.
Oh no.
The
You're a-
assholes have begun.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. She's about to get hit broadside by a 6-year-old half orc.
And I have a -1 strength.
Meep.
That's
What a good save!
a 15.
Yeah, it is, but she is holding. The only reason you don't fall over is because you wind up leaning on Legolas, who's looking at you like, I am not your leaning wall, kind of thing. But yes, half orc girl, age about 6. Hovering towards the back of the pack, you've got a tiefling boy, faintly luminous red eyes, just sort of watching this whole thing going on, waving largely in Clarity's direction, just like, yeah, I'm still not 100% used to these people. And behind him is slightly older, the only human in this entire bunch, about 13, she looks set to go and glomp hug Alice, but stops at the wings. And it's like, not that they're not really cool, but we're gonna tell this inside. Half of y'all aren't wearing shoes. Do you want to break out everybody's lesser restoration here? We don't care, you're back! From about half these kids. Zana, meanwhile, has not had Lissy's self-control. So the little gnome girl pads up to Alice, using partially Legolas and partially Alice, sort of climbing up her to look at the various bits of the shirt, going, how do you have shirt with the, how did they do this? This is awesome!
Behold, Alice the treehouse.
Face, push, snowdrift. So Hazel goes over backwards and then is summarily pounced by the rest of the smaller kids. You're welcome, kids! At which point, in the doorway, this one you can see color, those of you with dark vision. Halfling woman, very short brown hair, fairly sensible looking dress. And this one does have shoes, going, You're letting all the heat out, and I'm fairly sure that everyone wants breakfast and introductions, and goodness, Alice, you were not kidding. If you'd like to situate your friend, gesturing in Legolas's direction, to the barn, and the rest of these lot can child wrangle. Twilly is already mixing pancake mix.
Joyful squawking from the kid pile.
Thank
Sounds
goodness.
vaguely like half elf.
And
I know someone who's excited for that.
You can understand what the words through the snow.
well, it's all about the cake pans. Come on, Legolas. I'm sure we'll find you something interesting to munch on.
Maple things!
Alice just kind of beckons to Legolas, who follows her in the barn direction. The kids kind of get off Hazel and then kind of crowd surf her. So all of a sudden you get these kids just mute and pat, carrying Hazel, kind of dripping snow in through the front door. And
Yeah,
what is Rylan doing while all this is going on?
Trying to reset his brain because, oh my god, this is a lot of children.
There are so many children.
This is more children than on beverage. I don't know what I was expecting, but not this.
Given Evan's already run off, Darvin just looks over at Rylan because Darvin's not distracted by too many of the kids right now. Going, you get used to it. Eventually.
How?
Eventually.
It will probably occur to Clarity because she does kind of understand the logics here. Nobody explained to Rylan what Hearthhome does.
Oh.
Nobody explained that this is basically like the equivalent of an orphanage. No one explained this to the man. So, well, nobody explained this to the nervous. So, all of a sudden, you've got a dozen kids and already nervous is just being...
Double nervous.
And none of them are even halflings. What?
This is kind of the best version of an orphanage.
You don't even know that term. What else don't have orphanages? If parents die, the community raises the kid.
Kids that didn't have or had bad families now have a new family, basically.
That, I suppose I can understand a little bit. There's a lot of children.
Yes, there is.
And Alice, who's carefully stabled, Alice, who's carefully stabled Legolas, walks past you guys, nudging Remy in the direction of the house, going, I bet none of you warned Rylan about Jaloy.
What's Jaloy?
Loy is a person, a very small person.
Pixie.
Yeah.
Rylan, you know pixies. They have their own little communities, and you have very, very strict territory policies with the pixies. Otherwise, if they get annoyed, they either throw confusion at you or turn you into something.
Or in our case, sometimes both.
You guys were especially annoying.
We be like that.
Isolate a
As I'm
pixie and get away
do I
with it.
hear any of this getting carted away by kids?
You're already in the kitchen, being poofed into a chair so you can dry off from the dunking you took in the snow. So no, you're not there.
Come on. there's there's lots of kids. This is all one big family. Mom and Mama run things, and
Wait,
chances are, before the day is out, you'll wind up getting adopted too. Congratulations, welcome to the family. Just roll with it, trust me. It's not a bad thing, I promise.
How am I supposed to know? I have known you people for maybe 2 days.
Well, considering they gave me the inheritance to this place after knowing them for 2 days, that's, on par?
It was closer to weeks, but okay. Which point from sort of in the first hug, you got Skylar going, Mom and Mama are very good judges of people.
So I'll probably like them then. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then why didn't you open with that?
Because we're not used...
Funny?
Also because we're not used to people being that nervous.
To be fair, I am also not used to being this nervous, so this is perfect.
She kind of pats Frost's arm and disengages, pads over to Rylan and offers a hand. My name is Skylar. I'm gonna be a paladin in Bahamut when I grow up.
It's adorable. You are adorable.
And also serious.
Well, how am I supposed to know that? I have known this child for all of 5 minutes.
It's 'cause I can't wear the armor to bed.
Yes.
All right, then. Cool. Hi.
The big important dragon ruler people gave me armor. It's gonna grow up with me.
Oh, that's actually that is quite astounding magic.
They haven't had a non-dragonborn declare that they wanted to be a paladin in Bahamut for ages and ages and ages and ages. And I'm one of the first.
Skylar is going to do
Special ones,
Bahamut
then.
very proud.
And you should come in, because there's going to be breakfast. Mom and Mom are real good at pancakes.
More pain. I
'cause-
thought you people were named after cupcakes. Why is it with all these non-cupcake things?
We're not allowed to eat only cupcakes because Mom and Mama have things to say about nutrition. And
Speaking of that,
points
sometime
was not
after
point-
Never
getting-
expecting a serious answer to that, but
and
okay.
points at the next hill, hill house kind of thing. That's Fort Cupcake if it helps.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
You've got a room in it. Alice's been keeping people informed. So Mom did the earth shapey thing, and we found some furniture bits. Do you want to see it before breakfast? You should probably see it before breakfast.
Yeah, what? You know what? Yeah, why don't you show me?
Okay, come on. And it offers hand again.
I take
Pat.
their hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Skylar very much a her. You got pigtails. Boink.
There.
And to give Rylan this decompression moment, walks over to the next house, which does have a little wood-burned sign that reads Fort Cupcake. Opens up the door onto a comfy, if somewhat mismatched, front room, and sort of a kitchen-ish element off to one side. A fireplace has been laid. Apparently they were expecting you guys sometime today. And then starts patting down the corridor. And on the doors, they each have a little wood-burned sign. The only one that seems to be missing is Hazel, which Skylar explains as Hazel likes to sleep in the room with the girls, because I think it's because she had she was all by herself in a room and nobody came to see her for like long time, so she doesn't like being alone anymore.
Wait, what? Oh, that's
The
Awful.
the high elves are not very nice in the Elven Wild. They don't like half elves. We're pretty
Don't like us either.
well. We're pretty sure that it's the Elven Wild that left me on the doorstep here. I think the high elves there decided that Hearthhome is where they leave the half elves they don't want. I don't know why they don't. Why I don't know why they have half elves if they don't want half elves. But people are weird anyway.
I need
Oh, very
paladin for
weird,
great
yes.
justice.
And
They're very weird.
you get to a room sort of off towards the end of the corridor, which has you could actually smell that the wood burning on the sign on there is quite new, and it just reads Rylan, and opens it, and what you have is clearly they know that it's for a full elf, so you have a comfy chair for trouncing, and just a little wardrobe, bookshelf. It's got a few little bits of book in it, and plants up across it, and painting of a forest setting hanging up on the wall, and a sort of braided rug.
Did all this in maybe a day.
Mom is a very, very powerful wizard.
I can see that if she made something as beautiful as this in such a short time span.
They say that if there's anything that you want changed, then they'll see what they have in the basement. We don't throw anything away. We see people that throw people and things away when they still have some use in them and they just need some loving. So that's what they did. That was a noble's armchair, and they didn't want it anymore. But Mama's real good with her hands, so she put new covering on it and got some extra wool to fluff it up. And now it is a chair for you to trance in.
I think you're gonna make an amazing paladin someday.
I'ma try. Let's get you some breakfast.
Breakfast it will be.
Pat, 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 pat. He just grabs him by the hand this time and pat, 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 pat.
Just drags.
It's hard to be dragged too much by somebody whose legs are that much shorter than yours. She's about 6. Yet now that he's seeing her now that Rylan's seeing her in light, it's strawberry blonde pigtails, little blue nightgown comes to about mid-shin, which is slightly soggy at the last couple of inches just because snow.
Right.
But yeah, she insists I'm a toast my feet by the fire when I get back to the main house. This is Hearthhome.
Quite a lovely little place you all have out here.
We just kind of hope we get to keep it because we're not supposed to know that things are going on, but things are going on. We've seen some wood elves. We said any of them that wanted to stay in the general area could have the treehouse for the winter. It's not our treehouse. It's not Hearthhome's treehouse. It's kind of ours. We started it, but it's the town's treehouse. All the kids in town build up on it and do the maintenance and the things so that it's there for the next kids.
Wow.
So it's probably got enough space for a couple of adults. We make sure it's real sturdy. We don't want anybody falling out and getting hurt.
Of course not.
Just, in case, because you look kind of overwhelmed and maybe some people from home might be helpful. I don't know.
There's also a chance it might make me feel a little more homesick than I already am, but you know what? It's worth a shot.
It just sort of pauses a minute and then just hug. You look like you needed one.
Thank you.
Right. Breakfast. I think we're far away enough for long enough so that Hazel making that noise that makes your teeth vibrate is probably stopped by now.
Hazel's... Wait, what?
You've never heard her make that noise that you can almost not quite hear, but then your teeth start ringing? You probably have heard her make the hypersonic noise at least once.
I probably have.
Ironically,
I don't remember
possibly
my...
not, because I've been near on
Ah,
entirely
yes.
self-contained.
Yes, that's true. So in which case, no, Rylan probably hasn't. When she's really excited, she makes this noise. It's almost
the
not...
noise that causes teeth to vibrate.
It's almost not a
This is
noise.
normal?
For her, yeah. Isn't there anything about you that's normal for you but isn't normal for anybody else?
Good fucking question.
Well, given pronouns and some of your magic shit, yes!
I'm sure there probably is. We're all unique in our own weird and crazy little way.
Yeah, huh? I mean, not everybody wants to be a paladin of Bahamut, and that's probably weird, especially when it's a little half-elf. But I'm gonna lean into the weird because it's gonna make the world a better place someday.
Someday in the future, after we've saved the world 1,000 times and we're coming back here to tell you more stories, remind me to tell you about a paladin friend of mine from where I'm from. You would love him.
Okay. But for now, we're gonna fill you up with pancakes. We have like 4 different kinds of syrup.
That is more syrup than I'm probably ever used to. That sounds delightful.
It takes it by the hand again. Pat, pat, pat. Yes. Meanwhile, you guys are roundly greeted by Twilly, Miranda, and kids who get their hugs in, but are then ushered back to bedrooms by Twilly, going, "You're going to have to put some clothes on. We've got some new individuals." Oh goodness, you were not kidding, Alice. I'm very glad we have benches. Your friend Rylan will be back soon. Yes. Well, ish. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, there hasn't been running away, has there?
Skylar's just showing him the treehouse.
Oh.
No,
Fort Cupcake,
well,
right?
Fort Cupcake, rather. But
Oh, I do hope Rylan likes the room. We were kind of lacking on bits of furniture, but we did have the armchair from when Aaron, you were calling him by the end, was staying there. We did get him. We didn't put quite so many plants. Different painting as well, mostly because we could actually get away with a forest setting, just on the grounds of, at least if Rylan misses the forest, Rylan knows what forest is being missed. It's all very complicated, but worth the effort though. Goes back to pancake batter. So, I haven't got that much in the way of reports and everything. Barnabas is all right.
Mm-hmm.
I needed
Uh,
some
think
alone
so.
time.
A long story.
Yeah,
he's,
Hazel is by the fire, drying out.
Would I have finally dried out enough to start, I guess, helping if allowed?
Well, if you get up to be helping, it's sit, and not even looking. Sit down. Your first breakfast is not going to be helping. You can help with lunch. I understand you've been learning to cook.
Understood.
Sit and be lavished with attention from your siblings. When they finally get into some dried night clothes, do I have to tell you again? No, Mom.
gods, it's good to be back.
This is so cute.
And I'm just going to, instead of moving over to help, I'm going to move over to Clarity and just start situating people.
Yes, well, you will, however, find, well, Clarity is going to wind up, oh God, given the size of that cat, can you make me a strength save?
Uh-oh.
Oh god, giant cat projectile hide you.
Nope.
Hey, hold on.
Ryan.
Nope is not a small cat.
4.
Oh no.
Yeah, your Clarity is hit in the back of the knees by a ballistic cat and thud. Just hits in a bad spot, so feet go and whoomp, and the next thing you know, there's cat sitting, looking at you.
Oh, dear
Yay,
Taylor.
I missed you too.
Ow.
Are you okay, Clarity?
Clarity, and yeah, Skylar and Rylan come back in to see Clarity on the floor with very large, buttercup-colored, fluffy-ass cat sitting on Clarity's chest, being scritch. Clarity's just sprawled out on the floor at this point.
Like,
It's
this cat could do
the room is laid out much like the Hearthhome, like the Fort Cupcake one, except it's a bit bigger and more in the way of kitchen. At the kitchen area, mixing things, and some of them seem to be mixing themselves, but you did get, powerful wizard, is halfling woman, fluffy blonde hair, little bit of probably premature white, tacked in a somewhat haphazard bun, mixing things and not looking, going, hello, Rylan, my name is Twilly. I will be with you when breakfast is a little bit more sorted. Please sit by the fire and dry yourself off. Skylar, I know, wet night clothes. And then you're going to sit by the fire till your feet warm up. Yes, Mom.
I would like to invoke the ancient right of dibs on that one.
It's hard to process.
Yeah, Alice is like, as far as I understand it, Skylar claimed dibs on Froseth quite some time ago, just on the grounds that seeing him decided her on her path of paladinhood. So I'm pretty sure Froseth is cool with sharing though.
Yeah. Also, it's less that that anyone calls dibs on a kid, and the kids call dibs on everyone else.
Yeah.
Ah.
And to think you haven't even met the ones that grew up yet. Rassie. I can't
No.
For
remember off the top of
me,
Yeah, apparently the Hearthhearts, Twilly Quick Flight over there, Miranda Hearthheart sitting in rocking chair, watching proceedings. Well, sort of watching proceedings. She's knitting, but there's still the sense that she knows everything that's going on in this room.
As mamas do.
Well, it's also Gloomstalker Ranger with a little bit of rogue. So just kind of so it's a pleasure to meet you, Rylan. I hope we did all right with the room.
I think the room was quite lovely.
Good. We like to make sure anybody who's going to be staying here is comfortable. But yes, they're quite right. Some of our children are all of our children, I suppose, are very sensitive to those who might need them.
Understood.
Well, Hazel can explain why.
We'll slowly half turn to Hazel.
Basically, what Clarity didn't entirely explain is that, it was skirted over in, people who had no families or bad families. But Hazel knows better than most that most of these kids, Oscar lost his parents in really horrific circumstances. So did Lissy and Evan. The rest of them were either yanked out of slavery, prevented from being sold into slavery, or just plain abandoned. So the first thing they learned at all, and what Hazel learned when she was taken into the household, is to reach out and be kind to those who have need, because that was the first good they ever had in their lives.
Yeah. It's because of how all of us kind of got here.
How exactly did you all...
Because, well, being an orphan isn't exactly something that happens in any pleasant fashion.
From the rafters comes Pixie, lands on Rylan's shoulder. In Sylvan, you're not gonna mess around with my house, are you?
Where is your house exactly?
It's in the not as big but bigger girl's room. There's a house. There's a person house, but it's my size. And the little gnome boy, he keeps moving my furniture, and I keep having to turn him into things.
Oh, no.
Still happening.
That's still going on. Oh boy. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm so sorry,
All
Joel.
reacts
Hey,
like this is a normal occurrence.
well,
I'm
mean,
going to turn him into a snail this time.
And I'm just
I hope eventually he learns his lesson.
I tried to tell him. I thought he listened, but he's Evan, and he's gonna do what he'll do.
Anyway, I don't really speak the common, but I've started picking some of it up. I'm here because bad people burned our town down. And I want to be really it was they said something about very difficult common cultist people. Anyway, that's why I'm really protective of my house. And the little gnome boy keeps moving my furniture.
Well, I'm sure eventually he will stop moving all of your things around, willy-nilly.
It's been weeks. Actually, it takes a couple of very tiny pinches of his scarf in her hands and tries to shake him, but she's tiny. It's been weeks. It's only the people who speak Sylvan, but who understand this. But it's also seeing this tiny pixie grab the scarf and just try to be shaking, but Pixie.
I'm just worried she'll fully gain class levels after a while.
Level 0 pixie barbarian.
Considering the Feywild stuff.
I hadn't quite gone there. Thank you.
Oh boy.
Well, maybe a gerbil. I don't know.
No,
Maybe try it.
no, he's gonna be a snail this time.
Oh no! I'm just after the snail.
You turn him back after a while, right?
Polymorph only lasts for an hour. It's not enough lesson.
Yeah. In order for and I'm just going in common for at least the benefit of everyone else. Yeah, the only time polymorph can be more permanent usually involves either the highest tier of it or going beyond it, the way Darvin got temporarily bunnied every day.
Hey, Darvin, from LSA. No, you could do. You tell him, because he's going to listen to you more than he's going to listen to me. You tell him that if he promises, absolutely promises, to leave Jaloy's house alone, I'm going to let him ride legs.
Well, that sounds like something you like.
You're muted.
Yo, definitely. That is brilliant. I will. Yes, that is going to be
And
said.
and if he breaks his word, he never gets to ride legs again.
I mean, if that doesn't work, I don't know what will.
Right?
And Alice just
I'm worried on his behalf. Damn. That hurt me.
I mean, to be honest, I'm half expecting that after breakfast I'm going to be giving kids flights around the place.
Probably.
Oh, Rylan, some of the other amenities that the place has is hot spring for bathing. If you want to do that before we start heading in a graze inward direction, because I mean, even with the the facilities at the palace, I'm taking as much advantage of that as I can. One of the few things I really did miss while I was wandering around with the people, because you can get yourself pretty clean with snow, but not as comfy.
I'd be surprised if it was.
I mean, you get used to it, but there's something to be said for hot bath, just relaxing, maybe some company, you know.
Just thinking that.
We'll have to give people due notice, and I'm gonna have to. I mean, I suppose they're pretty water resistant. Just the wings, and at which point you've got Twilly, who has a second while she's set up pancakes cooking. Turns around to Remy and goes, "Nobody went into any detail. How did you do that?" A notebook comes out of an apron pocket. Little graphite pencil comes out of the other one.
Okay, so
Yeah, details.
I had been given a very strong hint that there was a way to extend Alice's ability to summon the ethereal wings. So I met a priest of Palor in Agraith, and we had a bit of a talk, and he was nice enough to help me with crafting Alice's circlet.
And
But,
Alice digs in her, because she got a bag of holding a while ago, holds up the circlet, at which point Miranda drops her knitting, gets up, pulls a jeweler's loop out of a pocket of her dress and takes it. And, well, you did get some very impressive gemstones. Dragonhold?
Yep. So
Sorry, continue.
battle went pretty straightforwardly, but part of that, the blessing or enchantment or something between the two involved me channeling Zerial's power, and well, I think both he and Palor knew what I really wanted to give Alice and what she really wanted, even though neither of us had really planned on that when I gave it to her during our wedding.
And Alice is just in my defense. That's a bit of an ask. No, that's entirely fair. Actually, no. Actually need to go and check the delivery box downstairs. I heard something about recording. You will remember the little box.
Oh, good. That got here okay.
Well, I don't entirely know yet. It doesn't carry much, but there's a very small box downstairs that one of my cousins arranged, that you can put something just small, about fist size, really, in, and it will end up here. It's one of the few bits of Egref mathemagics that we've managed to smuggle in. So I'm going to go. Actually, no, I can't go check that now. And Miranda's like, "Deal with the pancakes, darling. I'll have a look." He goes back to flipping pancakes at this point. At which point, kids. Like 12 of them. And Twilly's like, you can tell them things while you're setting the table. Yes, Mom. At which point, Lissy, a hand on Darvin's shoulder when he's like, it puts a hand on his shoulder going, you guys are guests for the moment. You guys can deal with lunch.
Right.
Well, you just came back from a long trip.
No, you're right.
And leans in Rylan's direction. Lissy, hi.
Rylan. Hi.
Don't worry. We know it's a lot. And the littler
I'm getting used to it faster than I thought.
the littler ones care, but they just really like people who are halfway nice to them.
Ironically, it's making me feel a little homesick, if you can believe that.
Yeah. Not everybody had a home that only makes you sick that you had to leave.
Fair enough.
Tea, coffee, milk, juice.
You have just some herbal tea would be rather nice right about now.
What kind of thing? We've got like 5 kinds.
Do you have like chamomile and mint together, potentially?
Yeah, Mama? At which point it's, well, we have, chamomile, mint, and, apple blossom. We've got chamomile, mint, and rosehip.
Apple blossom would be lovely.
Let's see that. Got it. Anybody else?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Tea sounds lovely.
Yes, and Alice is like, to save Barnabas having to dip into his supply, I've been picking up some various bits and pieces to help restock the household. Comes out with a couple of bags of coffee. And Twilly's like, bless you!
Pretty sure that Mom's the only one who can drink that and not vibrate into the next reality.
And Miranda looks at her, excuse me?
You as well. I didn't realize you liked it at all.
I've had to stay up for days at a time. How do you think I manage that?
Sheer
Fair point.
determination.
That as well, but coffee does help. Besides, it's very tasty.
What? Evan, come here.
Hang on. Yeah, no, he's been too busy worrying about new people to be poking around the Jaloy house today. Although you do get the 12-year-old dark-skinned half-elf girl who turns out to be Mela, and we can show you the dollhouse later. I guess it's not really the dollhouse anymore. It's mostly for Jaloy now. Xana's been making her draperies for the windows and new bedding and things. And points at the gnome girl. That's Xana. She's going to be a tailor when she grows up. And that's Oscar, the dwarven boy about her age. He's going to work with her and make jewelry.
Oh.
Taylor and jewelry together again.
Oscar, the dwarven boy, says, well, they fit together. And Alice digs in the bag again, pulls out some notes. Xana, these are some of the design sketches for my new shirts. If the two of you are looking to apprentice, you could do worse than the folks in Egref. Twilly's like, I had been thinking Belarus, but no, that's actually probably a better idea. They're a bit more innovative than Belarus Academy would be particularly interested in. And Xana is just yoinked the pages and squeak something that's probably a thank you. And Miranda's just, you can look at them until breakfast, but then you put them away while you're eating. Of course, I don't want to get syrup on them.
These kids are so cute. I love them.
So, tea and coffee and breakfast happens. And I will admit that we are currently stalling a bit for time because we can't do much of a muchness without Barnabas. And we are coming up to break time, so when we come back, the kids are going to be putting you guys on the spot as to some censored highlights from your trip up north. And then you can explain and ask some questions in a Twilly and Miranda word direction about some of the things you found out. So I'll see you in a few minutes. And we're back. Currently, unfortunately, shedding players because Antheus, unfortunately, is also not feeling well. There seems to be something going around. Everybody get well soon. Please don't be sick over the holidays. That's not fair. You should be having your holidays having fun and being healthy, not being ill. I know it seems convenient because then you can you can be ill on paid holiday, but that's not the point. You should be having fun. Being sick isn't fun. Get well soon. Anyway, yes. So breakfast at Hearthhome. For Rylan, I mean, all of the rest of y'all know what you are in for at this point. Rylan is big, long table with the sort of trestle table benches on either side and seats on either end for Tully and Miranda. Not because they don't want to sit together, but because you've got a parent at each end of the table.
For wrangling purposes.
Yeah, and well, more for glaring people into submission. And it's kind of hard to wrangle through other kids, especially when you are a halfling. But you do tend to wind up with kids angling you into spots so that you can sit next to. They can sit next to people. I mean, Farida and Skylar effectively ensured that they were sitting one on either side of Froseth, and Skylar sort of took Rylan by the sleeve and nudged him into the seat next to her. So she got Froseth on one side, Rylan on the other, and let him have the empty bit of bench so that he's not surrounded on all sides in case he needs to make a quick getaway or something. Apparently, Skylar deals well with the nervous. And it's also, and it just sort of turns around and goes, if you need us to pass you anything or explain what stuff is, we can. It's not a problem. Alice has got Remy on one side, and there's a minor scuffle between Lissy and Zana, because Lissy has basically chosen Alice, but Zana wants to look at her shirt some more. Alice just diffuses the whole thing by going, "Look, Zana, if you graciously let Lissy sit down, you can go through all the new stuff that I picked out that I'm not wearing." Okay. It nudges Oscar with, "And you can look at the jewelry, except for the stuff that I'm wearing. You get to see the circlet. The one that gave me these."
I'm just watching the gears of their heads spin up to max and start smoking.
Yeah. Candor insists on one end of the bench, so you've got Candor, Clarity, Hazel. And Dawn is very much next to Ava.
Rustle around a little bit.
It's a little bit further detail of the individuals that you're seeing, because most of them you saw outside in black and white vision. Evan, gnome, 3 years old, sitting kind of on several books, and he is tiny. It's a 3-year-old gnome. He got past the baby stage, but he's small. He's very, very small. Bright red hair, face full of freckles, big jug ears. He's the most adorable little kid, but also very, very A sneaky, B mischievous. Oh yeah. What's Rylan's passive perception?
16.
Yeah, it's when you sit down that you notice that there's something in your pocket that was not there. That you did not put there.
What in the...
You pull when you reach into the pocket, you have this square of greenish cotton. It seems a little bundle tied up at the top with a sort of off brown ribbon. It seems to contain things. It rattles a little. If you untie the ribbon, there are these little multicolored beans that smell of sugar. Alice leans over. "Oh, hey, look, sugar beans. You got reverse pickpocketed." And Evan is just, I did nothing. Look.
It's a good thing, trust me. Well, depending on what flavors it'll actually wind up being.
And Alice says, "No, you got those from Edwina's."
Right. Those are safe.
Yeah. It's nicking some of Hazel's sugar beans that you probably don't want to do.
Right.
And all the kids just lean over and ooh.
Later.
Yes, but completing the 6-year-old-ish half-orc Dawn, off gray skin toned, rather blonde hair, kind of puffballish, kind of has not brushed it, probably not in the last couple of days. It's a little bit rough and tumble, this one, but Lissy turns out to be she's filled out a little since since the older people in this group saw her. A little less sallow, a little less pale, probably because, she's been outside and eating properly instead of living in Undertown. But still that sort of off blonde dishwater color hair, and little less nervous, not much. Large, dark-haired, off-green-skinned, 15-year-old half-orc by the name of Keth. He's sort of sitting at one end of the benches and leans in Rylan's direction and just, "Hi, Keth. I was out sort of seeing to the animals. Did you know there's a moose?"
The moose came with us.
Yeah, I figured if there was anybody who was going to bring in a moose, it was these guys.
It sounds right, knowing these people as little as I do.
Yeah. Zana and Oscar, you got everything but hair color. That's Zana's black hair, sort of curly. Oscar's brownish, remarkably tidy, in point of fact. Main difference between them is that the little nicks and things on Zana's hands are clearly more from cutting cloth and poking herself with the needles, whereas the ones on Oscar's were clearly occasional bits of soldering mishaps and poking himself with bits of wire. Skylar, obviously, you've seen her properly. Farida, the small dragonborn, clearly related to Furseth. Small silver dragonborn, and Furseth is looks at Farida like you want to tell him, and Farida is like, "I'm his big little sister. I
It makes sense. Hold on, just let her explain.
see." A long time ago, when we used to live up north, I was older than him. And then you probably know about the black goo and everything. People came and brought that to our town, and we were trying to get away. And this big oozy dog thing, was trying to take down the dwarf that was going for Froseth. He was a baby then, and I was running with another dwarf, and I took his spear and threw it. I didn't hurt it very much, but at least it was angrier at me. And then I kind of died. But the nice lady who runs things in Demille apparently really wanted Froseth to have me back, so gave a big diamond and a spell to the nice, not man, not woman, individual person thing that runs Egrev, and cast a big spell, and I came back, except I came back at the age I died. So, big little brother.
Oh.
I'm supposed to be older than him, but I'm not anymore.
So big little sister makes sense.
Yeah,
It's very literal.
I got that from the story, yes.
They just like to make sure. I think it's because sometimes they miss the point.
Understandable.
Just a wee bit. At which point Darvin leans a little bit toward Evan, going, "Hey, Evan. If you leave Jaloy's house alone, if you promise to leave her house alone, and you actually do, Alice will let you ride on Legolas."
War moose?
Yes, more moose.
No, not more moose. War moose.
Oh, war moose. Yes, sorry.
War moose.
Yes, war moose. You can ride the war moose, but if you do break that promise, you won't be able to.
Ever?
Ever.
I had to think about it.
All right.
Analysis.
It's
Yeah, Darvin just kind of glances over to Alice, like, I did what I could. Look at his face.
and in Candor, the red-eyed tiefling who turns out to be blue, turns to Darvin and says, "It's a pride thing. Give him a while." Come on, you know what it's like. You got parents telling you to do a thing, but you can't look like you gave in when you've been lasting for weeks getting turned into animal on animal on animal on animal. You can't give in that gracefully.
That's fair. And I do admire his determination.
I still think she arranges her furniture weird.
But it's her furniture to arrange. So
I'm helping!
Remember what we said before. If she wants the help, ask.
Well, lovely, Miranda. Lovely as it is to be having this argument again, your breakfast is getting cold. Yes, pancakes, and you've got maple syrup, strawberry syrup, blueberry syrup, raspberry syrup, butter, ham, fruit salad.
Temptation to go as absolutely bonkers about this as to nearly recreate the pie incident.
Now I just want pancakes, goddammit.
I seem to do that whenever I describe like food to you guys ever.
No, I'm like, God damn it, I want pancakes, even though I'm still stuffed from breakfast.
Yes. And at which point you have the kids. I mean, all things considered, it's probably Skylar because she is the most gregarious of you all. Leaning over to Rylan and saying, "So, tell us about yourself."
Well, I am from the Elven Wild, as you probably can tell. That's kind of obvious, Rylan. You should start with the obvious.
No, and Skylar pats him on the shoulder. No. The Nye, the wood elf that we used to have, he wasn't from the Elven Wild.
Oh,
We don't know where he was from, but he didn't either. And Faraday is, I'm guessing the Shattered Lance. Maybe even before it shattered, because he was apparently away for a very long time.
who's to say, really? I did not meet this other wood elf companion that our friends had. What else about me? I was actually seeking these guys out for a little bit of help regarding my home and trying to keep it safe. Unintentionally stumbled upon a grander mystery than even I had originally thought.
Yeah, we're supposed to not be in the room when that gets talked about.
Oh, shh.
No, I mean the details. We all know that big and dangerous is happening. It looks at Faraday because some people listen at doors. I want to know things. And it's not my fault they forget I'm there when I'm real quiet.
Get that.
Branda's like, I don't forget you're there. I just hope that you will quietly remove yourself. And given that that's clearly not going to happen, I'm going to have to be a little more forceful about it.
But in any case, at this point I'm kind of just along for the ride, really. Helping in whatever weird way I can.
Then you're not just along for the ride. You are helping keep our friends safe.
I'm helping keep a lot more people safe.
Then you're a
I'm not
hero
losing
just
my
like
head
them.
again.
Then you're a hero like them. I hope you leave some hero for me. I'm not big enough to be
Well,
hero
don't
yet.
worry. Don't
I'm
worry,
sure
we
there'll be
will.
plenty of hearing when you're old enough.
Faraday, she's gonna take me around the world. 'Cause I am going to make a magical device that will let people study all the languages. I'm gonna learn all the languages, and then I'm gonna make a thing that will let people learn. Like they'll have lessons on I don't know, it's kind of a scrying stone or something. I'm thinking of something cute to help with the teaching, like I don't know, an owl bear.
God, it's Duolingo.
I was gonna say.
Yep, you got it.
Duolingo, that's amazing.
Except with an owl bear.
Fantasy
Yep.
Duolingo's Owlbear. I love that.
Make sure it doesn't bug you too often, though. That might get annoying.
I think Because I know that Hazel sometimes forgets to do things unless she's reminded a lot. So I'll have a setting that will let you decide how much you want to be reminded.
Idea.
Very
Seems like a
wise.
good
That
idea.
is very smart of you
Very
to think
yes,
of
very
that.
smart. Very smart.
Froseth is just they they were right. She's more the book learning, and I'm the other end, I guess.
Yeah. One side book learning, the other side was, I guess, you know,
Smart,
experiencing. That's not quite right, but yeah.
Froseth is it was close. Leaves it at that.
Hey.
So where all did you go?
We went with the people who Alice lived with for a time.
Literally the people, which is why they're struggling a bit with that one.
Through Amber.
At which point Faraday is just, what was the most fun bit? I think I want to hear from Remy first.
I
What was the
think
most fun bit?
It was when we joined Alice's family on a hunt. We were riding on mooses when we did so.
Yeah, that was quite fun.
This. You rode Legolas into a hunt. Ha! Ha! Did you comport yourself bravely?
I'd like to think so.
If you want comport herself bravely, you should have seen her when she went spearfishing with the Moskoi. They're a sea dwelling people, you see. And they don't live under the sea. Actually, I think some of them do. They've got some merfolk, but mostly they live on these floating cities. They've got little. Hazel can talk to you all week about the bubble farms. They've got bubbles under the sea where they grow things on the seabed. But a lot of what they do is fishing, but not just line fishing or net fishing. They swim with spears. And Ree got herself a shark. Fed the whole flotilla. It was tasty too.
That was very exciting.
Big shark. Ooh. Can we tell them
A
about
lot of things
the
in the water that are very, very, very big. Glad I saw them mostly from within the bubbles.
And
Well,
Skylar sort of points at Darvin. No. If it's somebody you have to ask permission for, you tell your own, and you let them tell if they want to or not. So, what was your most fun part?
probably the impromptu jam session with the Muskoi, actually. They're a lot more improvisational.
And Ramos is improvisational.
Yes.
Yeah, Ramos is the unreasonably attractive teenage half elf boy.
Thank you. That one got away from me.
Yeah. For Rylan, Ramos actually has a bit more of the wood elf look to him. So,
but they're a lot more improvisational than I'm at all used to. So that was a lot of fun. Kind of helped show me ways where you can take the rules, quote unquote, as they already are, and bend them, flex them, change them up, mix them up in ways that are still complementary. It was a lot of fun.
and Evan from Mama always used to say, "Learn the rules so you know how to break them."
Yes, pretty much it. Yeah. Good call, Evan. Good call.
That was Mama.
Accurate.
I take her wisdom with me.
As you should. I miss her too.
Dawn turns around to Ava. What about you? What was your favorite part?
Crafting was fun. Riding the moose was very different from riding a horse, but it was still quite a fun experience. Probably the bubble farms, actually, because Hazel and I actually went down and helped some of the farmers harvest the crops.
Ooh.
Which was a first for me.
Well, Kath's like, well, if you want to experience harvesting around here, we have got some winter crops that I could probably use a hand. Not much fun in the winter, but
I mean, if you have time and you need a hand, I'm happy to help.
oh, it depends on how early you're up in the morning, I guess. Candor for clarity. What about you?
Well, unsurprisingly, my very favorite part was visiting this silver vault and seeing all the books and reading some of them.
Every single one of the kids looks confused. They do not know what the silver vault is.
It's very simply a library, but it's so much more than that. It's
It's a magic library.
A collection of all the knowledge that's ever been written down.
And, they show it in different ways. Like, the bestiary, they'll actually show you a not so silent image of the thing so you can see how it moves, and they'll have some old adventurer or ranger type, I'm not really sure, explaining where it lives, how it hunts, what its name is and what it's called in other cultures and that kind of thing. Or Ree and Barnabas were looking at war campaigns, so they got like any of you who have been sneaking around and peering in the mercenary tents, because I know at least half of you have. Evan, Faraday, Skylar are looking a little bit shamefaced at that point. And you'll have seen the table that the commanders have. Well, this is like that, but more realistic looking, apparently. And Hazel and Froseth got this amphitheater that showed you the myths happening. And Darvin got bards of old teaching him how to bard. You're muted. Oh, no, there you go. No, you...
Yeah, that whole motion was silent. So it was just... I can tell you about it, but I'm still thinking about it, and it's just too much to express yet. I will tell you about it. Just give me a minute. Maybe a lot of minutes.
Froseth looks at Faraday before she can even ask and goes... Before we got to the Silver Vault, we had to bring some knowledge that we picked up there to earn being able to go into a part of it. And I won't say it's the most fun, but it's something that I found something and met someone that I think you and I need to talk about. Okay? Just because it's a family thing, and I'm not great at. It's okay. We can go out, and when grown-ups have to talk scary, you can explain later. I can take a turn on writing Legolas later, right? And if you want, when you're done, we can take an aerial tour of Hearthhome. And every single one of the kids just, even Candor's a little. And it's like, do I really want to even ask? But I mean, come on. Look in Rylan's direction. You probably weren't with them for all of it, but do you have a favorite part of what you did with them so far?
I mean, I certainly haven't most unexpected part.
Okay.
Of getting pounced on by several large dogs could ever possibly be. I imagine that's not the worst thing in the world to ever happen.
I'll say it's just sled dogs up north. It's we travel by moose or dog sled. And the doggos be friendly. And there was
Like,
new
you
there
guys levels are friendly.
and there was new guy, and you know what it's like with dogs. They want to know you and smell you. Yeah. This from Mela, the dark-skinned half elf with the fun buns. I like the animals. We don't really have much in the way of sheep, so we don't have herd dogs or anything. For non-livestock animals, mostly we have the barn cats and Noop. You believe Noop used to be the runt of the litter?
Also, not surprised. Weirdly.
Latched onto Hazel, apparently. Literally.
Had to keep telling him no, but it didn't come out as no, it came out as nope.
It was supposed to be... It was apparently supposed to be nope. Mom tells the story better. Twilly is just, that's the thing. It's latched onto her trousers, this tiny little yellow kitten, and so tried to climb up. And she was only about 5, so it really was just pulling this cat off and being... I'm not sure if it was she was trying to be funny or just getting used to the idea of being able to say no. So it really was nope, nope, nope. And we didn't really have a name for him at that point, so nope it was.
And thus,
thus nope, yes.
ask for a Lynx, given how big he is now.
And I'm sure they'd be fighting over the chance to ask you, Hazel, what your favorite part was. So I'll ask and save the trouble.
The entirety of the whole Moscow thing. It just... all of it. Because...
I will. That was quite fascinating.
yeah, and the probably one of the coolest bits is that that's just one kind of Moscow settlement. There's different ones of all kinds. Some of them apparently are part of giant icebergs, like the one we were on. Some of them are grown out of just an entire tree. Some are just loads of boats strapped together. They all have different takes on the underwater farming too.
Miranda flags up. There was actually one a few leagues off the Hearth. Darwin probably knows about this one. That's one of the more boat-oriented ones, although that one is actually built around a tiny island, just big enough for a single lighthouse. But they built docks, and those docks had boats, and then those boats hitched other boats, and they're arranged in such a way that you can unhitch as you need to be traveling off. I doubt, Darwin, you would have actually seen the place, but you would have seen the Moscow traders. I don't think they liked trading with Star Coast all that much. I don't think the local nobility treated them very well.
But I'm willing to bet that's going to change.
Oh, more than likely. And given Martin's taking on a bit more of the work among the halflings of the Hearth, I imagine they'll be a bit more friendly around us lot too. By the time we resettle.
Francine, I anticipate doing great things. So.
We keep an eye. She's I think she's considered not so much re-inhabiting the manor, but I think she's repurposing it.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
something along the lines of I think she was trying to say diplomatic headquarters, but what she said was in for visiting important people. Something like something like what Gray's Inn has. She probably won't live there.
Yeah, that sounds about like Ventine. All right. Yes. Yeah. I knew it. I knew it. If anybody was going to be the right choice.
This feeling that Star Coast is going to supersize very, very quickly once things settle down.
I don't know about super size. I think it'll just be
Nicer.
low key but more connected. You don't have to be large to be a presence.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little bit stuck on the concept of Egraph.
Well, I mean, Egraph isn't that large. It's tall. I mean, it's large compared to Goldendale, but then again, everything is.
Yep.
At the you don't have to be large to be a presence. Darvin just kind of glances down at Evan and smirks a little. Yeah, right.
Great things come in tiny packages. This breakfast finishes up, and I'll say it's like I guess Furseth has some sister bonding time to get in, and I have moose rides to arrange. I'll check in on Barnabas just to make sure he's doing okay, but and you know, if you need me, I'll be out in the dooryard with a very, very big moose. So I will not be hard to miss.
As the kids are filing out.
Well, they're all bundling into winter wear because for them it's you guys have your white furs, but for them it's still cold.
Yeah. As Cander's bundling up, I just sort of tug on his sleeve and tell him, I have something for you that, I thought might be a good activity that we could do together when we have time. And I pull out the Manticore puzzle. And
Huh. What? You've never seen him come that close to laughing. He's not quite, but that's probably he's getting to a point where he almost can, so that's good. So you just get this what?
Puzzle, and we could, try putting it together.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. All I'll say is a lot of us have things for you. I'll probably start while we're out there because I've got my bag and there's stuff in saddlebags. But do you know there's jigsaw puzzles with us on them? And chorus of "Ooh, I want to see" kind of thing as she leads kids in winter wear out. Yeah. This is after that many kids clearing a table is kind of impressive. So what you have is, the kettle with it's loose leaf tea, but it's in already prepared tea balls. So like having tea bags, but without the waste issue. So basically, Rylan and Clarity can, or anybody who wants more tea can have more tea, and coffee pot. All right. I know we've been dancing around a few things. Thank you for that. But now that the children are adequately distracted,
Well, we have a couple of dragons to kill, first and foremost.
well, yes, but in all honesty, we're not that worried about you handling that, because given that the first two resupply ships managed to come through recently, we know you managed the blue, which means that my prismatic goldfish ball worked.
It
Yes,
was
yes,
amazing.
It
did.
was amazing. It worked incredibly well.
She was not happy with it at all.
There is not enough praise that I can give, and I could try to give detail on its effectiveness if you like.
We'll handle that later. Also, because I do know that Alice has silent image, so actually being able to
Right.
see it operate while it's being discussed is a thing. But I have the feeling that that is not what you need to discuss things with us about. Unfortunately, another scroll of that is not possible. I do not have the materials.
No,
That's
we
all right.
understand.
Fine.
I have a feeling that we'll have to leave this a bit more to our resident martial expert.
Yeah, well,
Given everyone's looking at you, dear.
Barnabas and I did we saw a lot of your campaigns in the Southlands.
Is Miranda going? Heroism is not worth it. It really isn't. And Twilly is just. I knew that there were some notes of the campaigns, but so you were looking at the Southern Lands' more significant operations. Oh goodness, that must have been fun for you.
It was concerningly informative. But it was worth the time, definitely. It's just presenting issues that some of which we haven't quite figured out how to resolve yet. Mostly questions of how to find the well springs of the corruption, some of which are very likely underneath Baronsphere, and we saw exactly what it did to those mercenary companies that really had no defense against it.
Well, apart from the Star Coast incident that you were discussing, I don't think Baronsphere is having as much the problem. This from Miranda. The Elven Wild, on the other hand, I have given some of the refugees that have been coming through. I mean, though those new supplies came just in the nick of time, we've been feeding refugees coming out of, western ends of Baronsphere and the Elven Wild, more or less since you left. And at the very least, when you did that emergency teleport off of Star Coast.
Well, once we deal with the dragon at Grayson, we'll be heading to the Elven Wilds, and it seems like that might be more to resolve than just another dragon there. But we'll definitely be looking into it.
I mean, there is... While I understand why you'd be heading Elven Wild Woods, given the... If you've seen the Star Coast... You've seen the Southern Lands campaigns, you know how involved they get. And we obviously have too many people to look after at this point to be scouting ourselves.
Of course.
You might want to consider dealing with His Majesty in Black Crown first.
I think that would depend on how quickly we can get the mercenaries moving in that direction.
Well, I imagine Barnabas is having a word with them as we speak, and some of them have heard more stories than you would have. Carter was not particularly good at gauging the way the wind was blowing, as it were. He considered the usual sorts of information passing from company to company to be idle gossip. So he probably ignored a lot of that. So, at the end of the day, if you can get the mercenaries moving, because as you've probably seen, last thing you want to do is throw that many mercenaries at a wellspring.
Definitely want to avoid that. It was more what. So we know of a teleportation circle that gets us inside Black Crown Castle. We would just need the mercenaries on the outside, sieging the place, keeping the garrison distracted. Then we can get right in. We can deal with the king.
Well, your new wife does have a means of speaking to people from across distances, and it's going to take you some time to reach and deal with the white. Even if it might not take as long to get back here, depending on how many doors in Gray's Inn are still standing and whether any of those are large enough for... are you going to be taking your moose, or are we going to have to loan you the horse again?
We were thinking he would stay here.
What?
Weren't
Remy, we do need transportation given how
Oh, yeah.
around,
That's a good
around the
point.
white, it's going to get frostier and frostier the closer we get. We're going to be
That
moving
is a good
through
point.
territory.
I mean,
Well,
obviously Legolas can come back and live with us afterwards, but
Right.
it's more that it's either... I mean, I can put together something sled-like, and obviously you and Alice can ride Legolas's back and drag the others. It's a dire moose. It's going to be negligible weight for... but I do remember what happened the last time you took one of our horses. I mean, we got a very...
Try very hard to avoid that kind of situation again.
Well, yes, avoiding that situation again would involve not taking our horse in the first place.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
a
like
good
I,
point.
like I
That's
said, betting between an ice drake and Legolas, I'm betting on Legolas. So,
He does have very big antlers.
Is alarmingly large, yes.
and fierce when he wants to be. Oof.
Well, the things you can run into up north, as far as I understand it, you probably want the vanguard to be able to offensively use those gigantic antlers. Anyway,
Penguin.
The Remora thingy was terrifying.
see, I think those are probably stories that you can tell the children. But we're talking a bit more about large things that are yet to come. So, I believe what Miranda was trying to say is that if we can get the rest of the mercenaries together, because they've already been moving in and around that area, at least partially to start trying to determine how far the excess winter is spreading. It hasn't quite got here yet, but they know they're not going to want to be stuck here, ice-locked. So we've had a small contingent staying here to coordinate and ensure that there's some place to fall back to. but they're scouting out and spreading in that direction. So all you'd really need is to find the appropriate person for Alice with her sending to coordinate with once you've dealt with the ancient white dragon on Gray's Inn. Either you have your 9 days to travel back, or possibly less, depending on how fast Legolas goes. Or even less than that if there happens to be an intact door that can fit Moose and Sled. But either way, then you head in the general direction of Blackcrown Castle with the rear guard. Use them for cover while you teleport into the thing. As you announce, start your frontal assault. We used to do that sort of thing all the time.
Definitely sounds like it could work.
I mean, I understand that it might have been an idea, and it might still be an idea, to handle the green first, but we don't know what the territory is in the Elven world right now. We don't know where a wellspring might be, how badly tainted the green is, if she is, what else is happening there, how many drow are you going to have to cut through on your way there. And that gets more than just people with weapons.
There's also one additional plan. It's dealing with the white is still primary task, but what's on the line is, since we found out that Tiamat, and by extension all of her dragons, are essentially being played into doing this, all of this, we know of one of her followers who seemed similarly concerned that this was that what they were doing was not in their best interest. And best I remember it from Alice's description was that our best shot at convincing them of that would be arranging a neutral ground conversation between that person and Barnabas.
Well, I imagine all of you, but Barnabas doing the speaking. I mean, that's... Insofar as anything to do with the gods, you're going to have to talk to Lyra. Looks at Rylan. You're going to have to speak to Lyra anyway.
Probably.
Oh no, definitely.
For the protection thing we mentioned.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that.
Oh, that's this person. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, well, introductions to Jenna have to be saying.
God, yes. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask if we should invite Lyra or you should go into town, but that's answered that question. That's all right. It's entirely fair enough, and it gives us some lunch-related thoughts, etc. And I suppose we should do at least something moderately special for dinner, given that we haven't had a chance to celebrate certain special occasions properly.
Brief moment of vibrate.
You're a lot more contained than you have been recently.
Getting better at it.
Very much so.
I'll have to redirect it later.
Incidentally, Clarity, your room in Fort Cupcake, you'll find it's a little larger, as is the bed.
Oh. Thank you.
Well, it's nice to know that Hazel has sufficient space and yet still someone to cuddle. Just don't be surprised if you wind up getting leapt on by small children in the morning. They know better than to do that with Remy and Alice, but I think they think it's safe with you.
Thank goodness.
Yes, there are some educations I don't want them having quite yet. Not that way, anyway.
Okay.
I can imagine her being very pink in the face.
Thank you.
If nothing else, you now have more space. That's all.
Space is always good.
In a different sort of topic with having more space, I don't know if we mentioned this the last time I saw you, but I made a deal with an archfey to get my brother back. So I asked for him to be delivered here, because I felt that it would be a good place for him to rehabilitate. I hope that's all right.
It's entirely fine. That's what we're here for. You hadn't mentioned, no, but
But so if someone who looks like the painting in my room comes along at some point.
at this point, Twilly just gets up and hugs Clarity. She looks very much like she needs one. Just, poop. It's all right. It's all right.
I don't know when he's coming. I don't know how long this process takes. So
Has she not said anything about how that was going?
I've never. I don't know how long. She was not clear about how long it would take. Just that it might take a while. So
Yeah, Clarity. For in sake of your incredibly high int score, given that they didn't. It's probably not going to take as long as it took to for them to find Nye, but they'd also probably hide him better. Because, now they know what they're on about. So it could be a while, but given what... The other thing is, given who took him and why, you're going to have to be careful or you're going to wind up with a tainted archfey. So you probably want that level of caution. As worried as you are about your brother, tainted archfey worse.
yeah, she's just not clear on the specifics of how long Nye was. It took for them to find Nye.
Well, they tripped over him by accident, and you probably would have heard through Darvin, actually, that he was stuck in his bubble for a good 1,000 years.
Well, she knew that because she had found that one piece of paper.
Yeah.
But she just wasn't sure, well,
they weren't... That's the thing.
The archfey came into the picture.
Well, that's the thing. You do know that they weren't looking for him in specific. She did say they weren't looking for him in specific. They were poking their noses into places that they didn't belong because Archfey don't consider that there's any place that their noses don't belong. And they were like, oh, what's this? Why is there an elf in it? Well, we can't give him freedom for nothing. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's just not entirely clear where they fit into the picture in his very long stay.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what Her Majesty did say was, because I do remember she actually said this, we're going to have to be careful about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually looking, so it clearly won't take that long. She's actually trying to look at things from a humanoid, non-elven lifespan.
Yeah.
Trying. Archfey, it's a thing. Twilly kind of lets go of the hug, pets Clarity's braid a bit, and it's all right. You know we're never going to turn away anyone in need. So, and this is your home as much as it is anyone else's here. But thank you for letting us know.
Still getting used to the idea of the latter bit. So
No, it's understandable. So we know now, and it's fine. I mean, obviously, if somebody in distress was deposited here, I mean, you know what we do. We put a plate in front of him and make sure he had a room someplace.
Favorite food maneuver always works.
And he'd probably be in the more building. We keep that for guests, but
yeah. Thank you.
no need, but you are welcome. So, will we be, and I suppose there really isn't any place to get lunch in town. They haven't rebuilt the Golden Bower yet. Not exactly a building time of year, is it?
Mm.
Not really.
So I'm sure Lyra can put something together for all of you. And yes, I don't know if anyone mentioned, but there are a few refugees from the Elven Wild in the town treehouse.
Yeah, I think it was Skylar's. Was
Yeah,
that just
Skylar.
That was just to Rylan.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was
Oh, my
just
bad.
me. So I would... If it matters, if we want to talk to some people about the state of everything, little Skylar told me there were a couple of refugees in the treehouse.
We've been
Ow.
we've I mean, you can we've been making sure that they've got a hot meal because I mean, while tree houses are wonderful and everything, it's we don't have that one set up for cooking. So we've been trying to make sure they've got something a bit warm. Pancakes don't keep warm long distances, so mostly it's been oatmeal, sausages, occasional cinnamon bun. If you wanted to deliver them breakfast, if you wanted to get information or just make sure people are all right.
I mean, I would be up for helping deliver.
All right.
You coming with?
Well, I assume you're all heading into town because you have, and the treehouse is on the way.
Yep.
While we're putting together breakfast, I'd appreciate if one of you, Hazel probably, you're the one who knows the place best, is to show Rylan the hot spring. In case a bath is desired later. Yes, stop. Less grinning, more showing.
Yep. I'm going to walk over, grab Rylan, basically pull him up out of chair.
Ah,
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. This time I want an athletics check.
Uh-oh.
Good luck, Hazel.
Oh no.
Or not.
Yeah, this is basically, Rylan is nervous. Rylan kind of grabs hold of the bench, and you cannot lift a whole bench with...
I was just helping you up. I'm not going to throw you. That's reserved
How am
for
I supposed to know
gestures
that?
of Ava.
You didn't exactly indicate your intentions there.
Hazel,
Intentions are
let
clear.
Rylan get up and follow you. Let go. Thank you.
Let go of the me, please.
Yeah, Hazel's already let you go. If you want to be helpful, go and get his go get his fur and his scarf. And from inside the scarf, you get peeping of I might have to steal one of the sausages. I miss the pancakes.
Oh dear.
And from the rafters, Sunshine just sort of goes, "It's okay. When they have pancakes here, Jaloy makes teeny tiny pancakes in her teeny tiny house. I think I'm. Oh, you think she'll have a couple ready before we go and see the Lyra lady? Should I go see the Lyra lady? It kind of makes me sad though sometimes to go there. I'm gonna go see the Lyra lady. I seen lots scarier. But you should stay here. 'Cause you're little. Sunshine, by the way, is a bright yellow fairy dragon perched in the rafters. So all of this has been in Sylvan.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Friend up there.
I'll double back, grab any remaining any sausages that somehow survived the kid blender.
Well, no, the sausages are specially for they had ham. The sausages are Hazel. Let me cook those.
Ah,
And Flitty is just okay. I'm gonna go see Jaloy's fairy dragon-sized pancakes.
Are you guys going to have a fairy dragon and pixie tea party?
We're have breakfast. You can talk to me. From Sunshine. There are people who can talk to me.
oh Christ!
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there are. Hi.
Yay! More people who can talk to me.
This squeaking is doubled.
I'm just thrilled that that all of the cookware, the oven, and everything's getting. Yay! Good use. I'm so happy.
Flitty is if you want to see Jaloy cook us breakfast. Well, they're showing the elfie person places. Then you can come. Then this fly. Yeah.
Go up.
And if Rylan wants to take a quick peek, what they have is it's a good sized dollhouse. Slightly mismatched furniture, but one of the rooms is clearly a kitchen, and it's got a little tiny stove that's got a little vent that's puffing out tiny little bits of smoke. Is inside there appears to be one single tiny coal that heats up the stovetop and the oven inside, and you've got this pixie cooking little tiny pixie-sized pancakes and frying little tiny chunks of ham.
Darwin is just very quietly like squeeing to himself. Just, yay! I'm so happy.
There and the one of the rooms, sort of in one of the garret rooms up at the top, the easel's been set up, and while it's obviously very small, so you have to get really close up to see it. But if you approach and peer in at it, what you're seeing is a not badly done, but still, developing artist picture of Sunshine perched on top of what appears to be a bauble on a bobble hat.
Hmm.
That is adorable.
So, yeah, Rylan gets shown to, at the back of the house, there's at this time of year, it's giving off steam, almost pond kind of hot spring thing, and Hazel will show the box that's been nailed to one of the trees, which is where they keep towels and soap, and you can sort of tuck a change of clothes up there, so that it's a fairly private sort of spot, and it's sort of sectioned off in the middle, so when they want boys on one side, girls on the other, or something along those lines, they've got that, or you can just take your pick, really, if nobody else is around. So, but it's still a place where you can have the comforts of the outdoors and the comforts of a hot bath.
We essentially have an onsen in the back.
Yeah, pretty much. But, it's easier for them to deal with it that way than it is to actually boil and haul water for that many kids.
Yeah, you just chuck them in the hot spring.
You,
Probably sometimes literally just because it's fun.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yes, given that we're at about that time, we will leave it after various of you have watched the Pixie and Fairy Dragon breakfast. Not so much tea party, but actual proper breakfast. And had a bit of a tour of the Hearthhome amenities. We will leave you all for in the new year, it looks like. Because obviously next Sunday is
Day after Christmas in American time.
yep, and the following Sunday is the 2nd of January, so we're not even on New Year's at that point. So fingers crossed there won't be any issues there. So when we hopefully meet again in 2 weeks' time, we'll deal with the refugee wood elves in the treehouse and quick doing what needs to be done in Goldendale, the town, before heading off in the direction of Gray's Inn and the now lair of Varidel. Happy Christmas if I don't talk to you before, guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy